How's it going, Broadway freaks? Welcome back to the Ben Applegate Show, where we talk about the latest things going on in the Broadway community. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Be sure to leave a like down below. I wanted to start with a bizarre story of a woman confronting slave play playwright Jeremy O. Harris during a Q&A talkback. Just a general rundown of the play. Slave play features three interracial couples who role-play as master and slave, showing a very edgy and different perspective of racism. During a Q&A with Harris and an actress in the show, a woman, whom Harris nicknamed Talkback Tammy, stood up and interrupted the talkback, calling Harris racist against white people. The exchange was filmed by multiple people in the audience. One such video was posted to Harris's Twitter.
I don't want to hear that white people are the because you're talking about black people right now.
She shouted, saying the play says a whole bunch of stuff about how white people don't get how racist they are, saying she has faced her own hardships such as rape, false arrest, and being a single mother and having her kids taken away. Harris responds, saying, "I never once said that you as a white woman are not a marginalized person, but if you heard that in my play, I don't know what to tell you." She continued her outrage, to which he later told her the play was about 8 specific characters and was a, quote, metaphor for America. She eventually walked out of the theater to the audience's applause.
I think you've given us another really amazing play, and so that's all. Thank you. And that is the Slave Play Part 2 people have been asking for you.
The video went viral, with comments calling it an aggressive attempt at Oppression Olympics, another calling it white fragility, and probably my favorite caption, even slave play had to sit through Thanksgiving dinner. Personally, my thoughts are that it's really important to separate your personal struggles with understanding society's disparities at large. White privilege doesn't mean that every white person has a 6-figure income and that every non-white person is dirt poor, but that there are some obstacles that non-white people have to go through simply because they're not white. One thing that is important is that Jeremy O. Harris told the Washington Post he didn't want to shut her down, because it, quote, would have been hypocritical for me as someone who has said from the beginning, I wanted this to be a play that sparked conversations. So on that note, I'd love to pass the conversation on to you, and I will not shut you down no matter what your opinion is. What are your thoughts on the woman? What are your thoughts on the issue of white privilege in the show? Have you seen the show? Can you tell me what your commentary is on it? I do know there has been some pushback, not just on the right from people like that woman, but also even on the left, some people calling it anti-black and that it downplays the horrors of slavery. I'd like to know your thoughts on that as well. With that said, let's go to the Broadway numbers for the week ending in December 1st. The top 5 productions by gross are To Kill a Mockingbird at number 5, Wicked coming in at number 4, good job Wicked, Moulin Rouge the Musical coming in at 3, The Lion King at 2, and Hamilton to no surprise at 1. The underdogs, we have The Rose Tattoo coming in at number 5, The Sound Inside at number 4, number 3 Slave Play, number 2 The Lightning Thief, and number 1 The Great Society. We have a few differences when we look at capacity, number 1 being Come From Away, which didn't even appear on the top 5 gross list, number 2 Hamilton, number 3 Dear Evan Hansen, number 4 Beetlejuice, and number 5 Hadestown, with the underdogs being The Sound Inside at number 5, The Great Society, The Inheritance at number 3, The Lightning Thief at 2, and doing the worst by capacity so far, Tootsie at less than 60%. It is important to note that The Sound Inside only had 7 performances, so that might affect the numbers a little bit. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are on that. I noticed Slave Play and The Inheritance, 2 shows we've talked about quite a bit so far, are on the bottom 5 list. Have you seen any of those shows? Are you unhappy about anything? Are you happy about the fact that Wicked and Lion King are up on that list? Let me know in those comments. With that said, let's get to the lightning round. And the first story in the lightning round is a peculiar one. Johnny Depp will produce a musical about Michael Jackson's life from the perspective of his glove, set to stage next year. The future Broadway musical Mrs. Doubtfire just had its pre-Broadway extension in Seattle. The production Forbidden Broadway: The Next Generation closed on Broadway November 28th, but will reopen off-Broadway. Jordan Fisher is set to play Evan Hansen next year. Tony-nominated director Marion McClinton sadly passed away on November 28th. And on November 29th, we had the release of Jagged Little Pill's musical soundtrack. Tomorrow I will be reacting to that soundtrack for the first time. Tune in for that video. Now we move on to, in my opinion, another controversial story. Not nearly as controversial as the first one we just talked about, but I'm not a fan of this. On Saturday, December 7th, Nickelodeon will air a live production of the SpongeBob musical. Many of the original cast members will be returning, including Tony-nominated Ethan Slater and Gavin Lee as SpongeBob and Squidward, Danny Skinner as Patrick Star, Brian Ray Norris as Eugene Krabs, and Wesley Taylor as Sheldon Plankton. As far as anything different happening in the production, there wasn't really anything alluded to other than some slight physical movements from the lead, as well as a performance of Sarah Bareilles' song Poor Pirates by Tom Kenny, the original voice for the animated SpongeBob. Okay, now for my hot take. The SpongeBob musical is not my thing. I need something a little more original and something that doesn't feel like a corporate cash grab. But if you disagree with me, I'd really like to know why. Not just that you disagree with me and tell me that I'm stupid, but tell me why I'm stupid. That's the important part. I'm not super looking forward to this production, but if you are, it is on Saturday, December 7th. I can't remember the time, so I'll put it in the captions. That's the time it is. It's at that time. It's that time. And now to our final big story. The Illusionists Magic of the Holidays opened on November 29th. It features 6 magicians performing 6 magic acts in a family-friendly show at the Neil Simon Theater. This is an annual event with the first Illusionist production on Broadway starting in 2014. There are a couple of reviews out there. Frank Scheck from The Hollywood Reporter saying, "See enough magic shows and you'll soon realize that there's nothing new under the sun. Modern-day illusionists are basically performing the same tricks that have been a staple of the entertainment form for decades." In my opinion, any reviews that attack the style of show rather than the show itself, I'm not a big fan of. I like magic shows. I used to be more of a fan of it. I'm not that good at magic anymore, but I enjoy one when I see one. Let's say, for instance, a critic went to see a light show. They have a lot of those in Las Vegas. If you go and see it and you say, light shows are pointless, light shows are boring, why did you see a light show? Tell me why this light show didn't accomplish what it set out to do. If a show is achieving what it set out to achieve, then that's all you can say for it. Don't just tell me that you don't like magic shows. So I would take what they say with a grain of salt, but that's just me. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Have you seen this production? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of magic shows? Do you think they belong on Broadway? And with that said, I'm going to end the show there. If you enjoy content like this, I upload every Tuesday and Friday, and will occasionally upload something else. Stay tuned tomorrow for something special. But if you are interested, click that subscribe button. Tap the bell. Always forgetting where that thing is. Tap the bell so you get notified when I upload. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook. I'll leave the link to that Facebook page in the description. And with that said, keep loving Broadway, and I'll see you later.